Now, welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Dan Kerr. I am an adjunct professor at the SUNY School of Business, and I'm joined today by Professor Roberto Garcia from the Kelley School of Business, and also Elma Dugas, who is an alum of the Kelley School of Business. And we're here to tell the story of how globesmart is used at Indiana University. So let me just start a little baseline here and introduce you to globesmart. So globesmart, three things. One, that is an assessment tool. So you go in, you fill out a little brief questionnaire, and you will find out where you are in terms of 5 cultural dimensions. So if you look at this little chart there on the left-hand side, you see the little circle that says my profile. So if that was me, that would show where I am on the spectrum of each of these 5 dimensions. People often ask, why do you pick those 5 dimensions? Those are the 5 dimensions that our research and experience tell us make the biggest difference in the classroom, and perhaps most importantly, in the workplace. So globesmart includes an assessment. And once you do that assessment, then what you can do is I can invite colleagues. So I can invite Roberto to compare his profile to mine. I can invite Emma. Also, what I can do is I can say, look, I'm going to be working with students in China. I can compare my profile to the profile of China. And when I say all Chinese are a particular way, but there is some norms in China. And it's an expert, it's a smart system. So what it does is it compares your profile to whoever you're comparing it to, whether it be an individual or a team or a country. And then it gives you expert guidance. You'll see down there in the lower left-hand corner, if I'm working with Chile, based on my profile and based on the Chilean profile, it pointed out here that I've got some big differences, and these differences are likely to show up in the following spaces. There is also culture guides. So there is in-depth briefing on 100 different countries. And this is a consistent level of briefing in there. So if I, for instance, are going to be working with colleagues from India, or I've got a significant number of students from India, or I've got a student team that includes students who are Indian, what I can do out of respect for them is I can go and I can be thoroughly briefed on their culture and the norms in terms of things like establishing credibility, resolving conflict, and so forth. And bearing in mind, this is a diversity conference, all these sections also, each one of these 100 culture guides also includes a briefing on a country basis of the LGBT communities and what's the LGBT situation in each of those countries as well. Last thing, and I'll mention before I turn it over to Roberto, is that the globesmart also comes with learning modules or learning paths. And so what you see there on the left-hand side, if you decide to use globesmart, bring it to your students, and you buy individual globesmart licenses like you would buy a textbook, in addition to all the other things I showed you so far, you would get these 5 different learning modules. And if the organization as a whole, like Indiana University, goes and invests in a what we call an enterprise license, then there are many more available. So there's a quick overview of globesmart. Now it's my pleasure to turn it over to my good friend and colleague, Roberto. Roberto, over to you. Roberto, you have to turn your mic on.
Thank you, Dan. And globesmart is an excellent cultural learning tool. So what I'd like to talk about right now is why I chose to use globesmart. And for us at the Kelley School of Business, all learning content begins with the AACSB learning goals. And for the undergraduate program, we have 7 learning goals, and the final one is called cultural awareness and global effectiveness, right? So in my courses, if I want to meet that learning goal, of course, I want to make sure that I'm increasing our students' cross-cultural awareness and the impact of culture on their learning and also on their learning activities and also in their future work. So globesmart is an excellent tool that helps us increase the students' self-awareness and the impact of culture. Also, more broadly, globesmart is a really good tool to help students understand cultural diversity in our organization, cultural diversity in the teams that our students are going to be working in throughout their time here at the Kelley School, and also in the future workplace. It also helps us increase their global knowledge. Dan mentioned 100 countries, so that's a lot of information on how to do business and the cultural aspects in in many countries of the world today. And it helps us increase their cross-cultural competence. Because we're a very sort of a practical, we offer a practical education, we use a lot of case studies in many of our courses. So many of the case studies that I use in my courses have an international cross-cultural component. So GlobeSmart is an excellent tool to help students understand what's going on, what are the managerial issues and problems that are coming up in many of their cases. We use both published cases and also live cases, as I'm going to mention in a few minutes. And once we get the students to analyze cases and situations, we want them to go back to GlobeSmart and use the tool to help to help them identify recommendations and implement those recommendations in their courses and in their live case studies. Next slide, Dan. So here's where I use GlobeSmart. I use it in a number of student activities and also courses. For me, the need for GlobeSmart came about in a career-related MBA program with a group of MBA students that was very dedicated to pursuing careers in international business. This was an academy called the Supply Chain Global Management Academy. We had about 50 students in this between first year and second year MBA students. And given that many of our activities and cases were going to be international, I needed this tool to help increase the students' global awareness. But the other reality was that half of the students in this academy were from outside of the US. So we knew that culture was going to impact their teamwork. And so we wanted them to use GlobeSmart to analyze their team dynamics and the impact of culture on their teams. Another MBA program that I was involved in was to take students to different countries and help them conduct real world social enterprise case studies using their business knowledge to do good in many different countries, many of these emerging economies. And so we knew that in order for them to develop good recommendations, they were going to have to understand the cultural nuances of those countries. So GlobeSmart was excellent at helping us prepare the students for that experience. And then I teach a number of courses. One of my favorite courses is cross-cultural management. And of course, that is a deep dive in many aspects of culture. So we're using GlobeSmart continuously from beginning to end of that course. Another course that I teach is International Competitive Strategies. And this one is another MBA course that has several modules that involve culture. And so we'll use GlobeSmart selectively for the activities and cases that involve cultural issues. And then we have some travel courses where we take students to other countries. You see a couple of pictures here of undergraduate classes that I've taken to Peru and to different countries. We call that global business immersion. And then I even teach a large undergraduate class with 2,000 students a year. It's a required course called the Global Business Environments. And one of the 6 modules is about understanding the cultural environment of international business. So we use GlobeSmart for that course also. Next, Dan. So here's a quick overview of how I incorporate GlobeSmart in my courses or activities. The first thing I want to do is identify for the students interesting, relevant, and challenging cross-cultural situations. Many times I think students think they know a lot about culture, but culture has many layers. And so I want them to first face a real world situation that they feel is relevant and important. And then I tend to incorporate either textbook material or more background materials that from a theoretical perspective to expose the students to research and the larger framework of international business. And then I try to create very focused and practical assignments that are very specific that the students have to tackle as part of the learning process. And of course, when they are tackling these assignments, then the assignments require them to go to GlobeSmart, or I point them to GlobeSmart for a more specific cultural understanding of what was covered in the theoretical perspectives and also in the particular issues that they're being asked to address. And then the final part is to use globesmart to develop recommendations in order to address the problems that they're facing at the particular time. And then a very important part of the learning process has to do with an active learning and sharing component. At the very end, I like to get the students to share their comparisons and their recommendations with other students in the class. So what we're trying to do is go from building awareness to helping students develop sort of a very broad and specific set of recommendations that's going to serve them well in their actual work world in the future. And so what I'd like to do next is turn it over to Emma Dugas. I had the honor and the pleasure of having Emma in a cross-cultural management course, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about how she uses the tool.
Thanks, Roberto. So I've always had a personal interest in cross-cultural learning. And as part of my undergraduate experience, I majored in Portuguese and French language with a focus in African studies. Through this, I had the opportunity to work with cadets from more than 20 countries, and that was a very fulfilling experience for me. So I was thrilled to have the opportunity to take cross-cultural management with Roberto as part of my MBA program in order to improve my cultural intelligence. And that course really laid the foundation, the academic foundation for cross-cultural awareness. And I was excited to have the opportunity to use globesmart, which was a tool to further my learning and application and improve my self-awareness when it comes to cross-cultural learning. And as someone who works in a global organization, I found all of this very applicable to my role beyond my MBA program. So as I said, I work in a global, and as a part of a global team, we have field offices in more than 65 locations worldwide. And not only do we have a global team, but we work with global suppliers and global customers. And I saw globesmart as a real opportunity for our team to build cultural awareness and sensitivity as part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy, which I am very involved in my organization. And we were able to host a panel discussion on China and Asia Pacific using the cultural guides from globesmart. And that really was a great way to open everyone's eyes to the importance of cultural awareness and sensitivity and how it applies to us as a global team. And moving forward, I believe very strongly that globesmart will be a key piece of our long-term DE&I and business strategy.
So thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Emma. And I think we have time here for a couple of questions. And believe the way the thing is going to be set up is they're going to use not a chat function, they're going to use a Q&A function. So what will be happening is we can be monitoring, Emma and Roberto, we can be monitoring the questions and answers that come in. So if Dan is speaking and, we know who's speaking next, maybe we can, as those questions come in, we can monitor them. But the last thing that they're going to see up on the screen is they're going to see each of our names and who we're affiliated with and our email addresses. So Emma, again, when you get the, you can go in and you can tell me whether or not we need to delete any reference to Pratt & Whitney. And obviously, if we do that, that's going to have an effect on this slide as well.
Yes.
Timing wise, we did fine. I think we finished up. It's now, if I kept track here, I didn't put the stopwatch on, but we went about 22 minutes, which is great. 22 minutes. So we've got, not 22, I'm sorry. We did about 15 minutes, probably. 14 or 15 minutes. So it looks like, Roberto, I don't know if you were working on a stopwatch when you did it, but I think we were all pretty much within our timelines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this and I'm going to send you both the links so you can take a look at it. You can time how much you actually took. And then what I would also suggest, why don't each of us view it? And then why don't we, as three colleagues wanting to position one another for success, if there's any particular things we notice that would help each other, let's not be bashful. Let's share that.
Sounds good. I did time it, and I did time it, and I had 7 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay, so you're within 15. As an accountant, you were below the materiality threshold there.
Yeah.
Emma,
So
I got a quick question for Emma. Emma, didn't I understand from your bio, did you attended West Point?
Yes, that is true.
So what's just one little feedback for you when you were sitting there with the soldiers? I knew that. I'm not sure that our viewers, so, certainly,
Okay.
and that I think will, again, you've got credibility going in, but the fact that, you attended the military academy, I think that gives a little bit of context to why you're there. Are you sitting there in uniform?
Okay, perfect. I'll make sure to mention that.
Yeah. Good.
Hey, Dan, at the beginning, I'm wondering how important is it important to, when you start out what globesmart is, that we connect it to sort of the bigger picture of what part of diversity and inclusion we're addressing with globesmart? Do you think that would be useful? Or because I was looking at the list of presenters that you sent us earlier, and I noticed there's somebody from AACSB. There are, there are a couple of other international sessions, like helping students work in cross-national teams, I think, or cross-cultural teams. But some of it might be just with, I gather, racial or ethnic diversity.
Oh, that's a good question as always, Roberto. Where do we want to pick our flag? Do we want to position globesmart as something that goes across countries? Do we want to position it as something, in terms of individuals? I think that your point is well taken there. I probably am missing a little opening comment in terms of, rather than just jumping in, what's the tool, how the tool is useful in a DEI context. So I'll come up with some wording on that.
The 100 countries came out strongly, so I think that they will pick up on that.
Yeah.
And then I think when you talked about teams, I think that would be an opportunity for people to understand, okay, team members, if this allows teams to analyze their team dynamics and their style, there's going to be probably some ethnic and racial diversity there that comes up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think being more explicit at the beginning.
Yep.
And
Go ahead.
I think what also works well in these kinds of sessions is if you're able to attend the earlier sessions and to build connections to what was mentioned earlier, I think that that's really positive for an audience to kind of get the sense that the sessions are interconnected, that they build on what was some of the topics that were covered earlier.
Good feedback, Roberto. Okay, so I got the context, and I think, Roberto, that team issue I can get to, right, as you said, right in this opening slide. It's all right there. When we do the comparisons, we're looking at differences, and we're looking at differences that may be by country, by team, and by individual. And the concepts and these cultural dimensions are going to play out, and the differences between these dimensions is sometimes you're going to find as big a difference across individuals and professions as you're going to find across countries. That's my Deloitte role I had used in an earlier assessment, and I actually, I captured the cultural profiles of the global new partners at Deloitte for about 5-year period. So I had this huge database, about 2,500, and I said, I'm going to sit down. This is a great paper in this, but the instrument I used, the people who maintained it have now moved to globesmart.
Yep, there you go.
So, good.
I think, just thinking about DE&I, one of the pillars of DE&I is respect for differences. Mm-hmm. And I think that this provides you a great tool to understand the differences that are within your team and to build respect and awareness for those differences.
Good.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, I agree that these are good on taking down these points, but I'm going to send you the link. Let's take a look. It's only about 15 minutes. Take a look at the tape, and then come back to, if you have any additional thoughts that we can share with one another, that'll better position us for success. The random card is, I'm not the moderator, so I don't know if she's going to interrupt us. Hey, she's got a question, or I couldn't get a straight answer on that. I don't think she knows, so we're going to have to be nimble. But I told her, I said, look, when I get together with the team, I'm going to tell them we're going to prepare a 15-minute presentation. But we'll see. We may have to, be nimble and kind of go on the fly here a little bit.
We can adapt, right, Emma? We're adaptable.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So I need to send you both the schedule with the link where it has all the, where you may already have it, Emma, but so we all have it, where you just click on the one you want to attend, the sessions you want to attend. And I'm also going to send the link to the seminar itself, that little link that tells you who the other speakers are. I'm going to put that in one place. I'll get those off to you. And anything else I owe you guys? And I owe you a copy of the tape, which will probably come through in about 40 minutes. Got to download it and then upload it. So within the hour, I'll send you a copy of this tape.
Okay, and I owe you a response by noon on Thursday on what my slides will look like.
Yep, just go ahead and make that. And I'm not going to go back to global marketing. So, try to be, use the scalpel.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Dan, maybe I did get, Emma, how did you get that, the file with the links? Was it something that Dan sent or?
It wasn't from Dan. It was, I'm going to look at my email.
Michaela, if you look for check for emails from Michaela. That's the woman who sent it. This document here. But Roberto, just to make it safe, I'll send it again.
Okay, I did get something. I got something from Mike Greto, but I'm looking at my GlobeSmart folder and I don't see anything except from you and Dan.
Okay.
Dan Greto and.
But you
Okay.
did.
I think I got it. Yeah, Michaela Rehm, R-E-H-M.
Is my email on her message? I'm concerned why I didn't get it.
Looked like she sent it only to me.
Okay. All right.
Roberto, you are registered, right?
I did. I registered pretty early on when following your directions.
But have you gotten any subsequent stuff from them?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I will, I'll confirm that. They are nice people. I will leave it at that. They are nice people.
We know how these things work. It's a university environment, so there are a lot of people.
Yeah. This is their first time they've attempted to do this, and I think they're relying upon some central university support that they've never had before. So,
are you able to check to see if I'm registered? I don't want to have trouble with the link.
Yep.
On the day of.
I will add that to my list.
Super. Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Emma.
No problem.
See you shortly. You'll get an email from me with this tape within the hour. Be well, everybody.
Thank you. See you Friday.